Good morning, Year 5. Today we're going to continue with our persuasive writing. The LO is, as a writer, I can use persuasive techniques. So let's have a look at what they're going to be. We're going to go through, not 5, it's going to be 4 techniques used in persuasive writing and advertising. Those techniques are emotive language, alliteration, puns, and cliches. I'll explain them all one by one. Okay, so for today's lesson, I'm going to explain each one, and then there's going to be a mini task, so you'll have to pause the video, carry out the task, and then unpause the video and move on to the next technique. Okay, so 4 different tasks linked to the different techniques. So the first one is emotive language. Emotive just means emotional, okay? It's all to do with your feelings. So I've got a definition here. Emotive language is the term used when certain word choices are made to evoke an emotional response. Emotive language often aims to persuade the reader or listener to share the writer or speaker's point of view using language to stimulate an emotional reaction. So it's basically to get you to feel something. Okay, so some of the effects can be to create strong feelings such as anger, guilt, joy, concern, empathy, hope. Okay, and it gets the reader involved in the text. So it sounds complicated, but it's not as bad as it sounds. So we can have negative emotion words. Could be, you know, in a story you might be describing someone as a liar, a cheat, lazy, rude, thoughtless. But we can have positive emotive words, can't we? Beautiful, friendly, intelligent. You can read the rest of those. Okay, so it's quite tricky to understand what we mean by this, but I'm going to show you an example to start with. There have been lots of protests in the news recently, haven't there, across the world? And I'm going to give you 2 different sentences that both describe a protest. And I want you to think about what the emotive language is in these sentences and how it influences your opinion, how it makes you see what's happening. So imagine there's a protest happening in Bradford in front of the town hall. The first one says, "The angry mob lurked menacingly in front of the town hall." Okay? The angry mob lurked menacingly in front of the town hall. The second one, it's very different. "The passionate gathering of protesters marched arm in arm towards the town hall." Okay, so let's analyse this, shall we? Let's just look at some of the word choices that were used here. So first of all, this one here used the word a mob, and this one here said a gathering. Okay, they both mean a group of people, but they both come with their own meaning, don't they? A mob immediately sounds bad, doesn't it? A mob means a group of people up to no good, okay? Whereas a gathering, it's just a group of people, okay? This one here says the angry mob, okay? So these people are angry. These people are passionate. Now, when you're passionate about something, you can get angry. Angry doesn't always have to be a bad thing, does it? But when you say an angry mob, that sounds like a violent, nasty group of people, doesn't it? The passionate gathering means a group of people getting passionate about something, okay? They could be angry, but they've described it as passionate, so it's far more positive, isn't it? This one, they lurked menacingly, okay? So they're lurking means hanging around, just being up to no good. Menacingly means there's some kind of threat. These people, though, they marched arm in arm. So they're marching in one direction like an army. Arm in arm shows that they're together and they're peaceful, okay? So very different language to describe very similar things. So we can see this one here is portraying these people as a really bad, dangerous group of people up to no good. This one here describes them as people fighting for a good cause, doing the right thing, coming together and fighting for their rights, okay? So these are all examples of emotive language. They just get you to feel a certain way. So task 1 is to do with emotive language in advertising. So it's a bit different to what we just looked at just there, because ultimately we are moving towards writing a piece of persuasive writing about a holiday advert, aren't we? So have a look at this here. Orlando's Fun Star Hotel. Fancy a magical holiday? Experience an unforgettable, family-friendly, fun-filled holiday at the Orlando Fun Star Hotel. So I want you to pick out all the emotive language from these adverts here. I will start us off just to get us warmed up. Okay, so Fun Star Hotel. Even the name of the hotel has got emotive language in it. The word is fun, isn't it? Okay, a magical holiday. That's emotive language. I'm going to find the other emotive language in these adverts here. Are you brave enough to climb Mount Vesuvius? We can help you find the ultimate holiday heaven for all. So pause the video here and find the emotive language and write it in your books, please. Oh, sorry, but could you write a subheading as well? So task 1, and just put emotive language. Okay, so that'll be a subheading. Underline it and then write down the words that you found from here. Okay, you can pause the video here. And I'd like to carry on the task for this advert here. Burrell's Holidays. Enjoy your holiday by the sea in Cornwall. Excellently located 4-bed house only 50 feet from the beach and 1-minute level walk to all pubs and shops with unlimited views of sand and sea. Lock-up garage and private parking. Book now to avoid disappointment. Right, lots of emotive language, could be negative or positive in there. So I like to just write them down under the previous subheading. Okay, pause the video there. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is alliteration. We should all know what alliteration is by now. It's where we have 2 words or more in a sentence that begin with the same letter. Okay, so ultimate holiday heaven for all. The alliteration is holiday heaven because 2 words in a row begin with an H. Okay, and we've got here visit incredible Italy. Okay, that is alliteration. We've got I and I. So, fairly straightforward this task. I want you to just write persuasive sentences that use alliteration linked to these places. So for this one here, Paris, you could say something like, I don't know, visit perfect Paris. Okay, so just think of an adjective that describes these places. Something beginning with B to describe Brazil. Brilliant Brazil, I don't know. Okay, and then just write those in your books, please. So pause the video here, complete this task in your book, and just write task 2, alliteration. Okay, so I have the subheading there, and then alliteration for these. Right, pause the video there, please. Right, 3. We're looking at puns next. What is a pun? A pun is a joke exploiting the different possible meanings of a word or the fact that there are words which sound alike but have different meanings. Well, let's have a look at an example to explain this. Do you want a taco about it? It's nacho problem. So what we're really saying there is, do you want to talk about it? We've got a taco here though. Nacho is another kind of Mexican food. It's not your problem. It's nacho problem. It's a bit of a stretch, that one, isn't it? Yes, I will. Yes, I can. We've got a wheel and a can. Really silly. Often not the most clever forms of humour, but you see them in advertising here and there. Okay. So a pun is another word for a pun can be a play on words. Okay. So we play with the language and we mess around with words that are similes or homophones. Sorry, not similes, homophones, words that sound the same or sound identical. So, task 3, I'd like to just write the subheading. Task 3, puns. And I want you to try and explain the pun in each of these adverts. Okay, sorry about that. Right, explain the pun in each of these adverts. Buy our pizza. We need the dough. Well, let's have a look. Need is a funny word. Need with a K means what you do when you're mixing the dough up with your hands, when you're pounding it with your fists. And the dough, well, we need the dough. Dough is what you make a pizza base out of, but dough is another word for money. So it's basically saying we need the money. Okay, so it's a double pun there on need and on dough. So you could explain that as the pun is we need the dough. The translation is we need the money. Okay. So I'd like to have a look at these 2 here. We've got Lord of the Fries, some place that sells fries, and a company that it looks like some kind of salad vegetable company. www.greenling.com. Let us deliver. So I want you to explain both of these puns in your English books, please. You can pause the video here And let's move on to another one. Cornella, we beg to differ. I'd like you to explain what the pun is here and to translate it. What does that really mean, we beg to differ? Pause the video here. And when you've completed it, you can carry on. And then we've got 4 more here. Now, some of these you might not get. The references might be a bit old. You might want to speak to your parents about these ones. We've got a place called Bread Pit. I think it sells bread. Tequila Mockingbird, Jabba the Gut, and Lord of the Wings. So, can you just translate these puns here? So I'll give you a clue. Bread Pit is a famous actor. Okay? Tequila Mockingbird is linked to a famous book. Jabba the Gut. What was that? Cut? Oh, it's a barber's, isn't it? Jabba the Cut. Sorry, I got that wrong. It must be a place that cuts hair. And Lord of the Wings, I think you've heard of that one there, haven't you? Okay, pause the video here and have a go at those, please. And your bonus task, can you make up your own pun based on a movie or book? And think of it as if you were selling something. So this is a chicken wings place, a restaurant, or a tequila bar, a bakery, a barber's. So think of a movie or a book and try and make a pun or a play on words with one of the words in that name. So I've got here, and this is not the best, Superman. Let's say I'm a butcher, I sell ham. I'm going to call my shop Super Ham. It's not great, is it? Okay, puns can be pretty poor sometimes, but they're catchy and they get people's attention, and that's why they're often used in persuasive writing or in the names of shops and things like that, businesses. Okay, so have a go at doing one yourself. Pause the video here. And then we'll move on to the final task. So the last one is cliches. So what is a cliche? A cliche is a phrase or opinion that is overused and betrays a lack of original thought. So when people aren't very imaginative, they might use cliches. That old cliche, a woman's place is in the home. Some people believe that there's an old-fashioned belief that women shouldn't work and that they should stay at home and look after the house. It's an old cliche, isn't it? It's not really true anymore. And there are some examples of some other cliches. People use them all the time. They're not the greatest thing to use in your writing, but with the kind of things we do say, and we do often see them in advertising and other persuasive writing. So every cloud has a silver lining, when pigs fly, light as a feather, diamond in the rough. Cliche is actually a French word. It came from printers who made things over and over again. So something that's made over and over again is this idea that it's something that just gets used too much. They all look the same. So that's what it comes from. So, task 4. Copy out these cliches, explain what they mean, then put them in an example sentence. All that glitters isn't gold. Well, that means just because something looks fancy, it doesn't mean that it really is. Okay, so you could have somebody could be wearing a dress with sequins. It doesn't mean it's precious particularly, does it? Okay. Right. I want you to do the same for these phrases here, these old cliches. Someone woke up on the wrong side of bed. Every cloud has a silver lining. Laughter is the best medicine. Time heals all wounds. And don't cry over spilled milk. Okay, so explain what they mean, and if you can, put them in a sentence to explain, to show that you've really understood that. Right, I better stop there. That was a very long video. Obviously, go back and check the video again if you've watched it from beginning to end, and pause it at the different points to complete the 4 different tasks. I should have said here, this is cliches, isn't it? Okay, right. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.